Hello, and welcome to the When You're podcast, the podcast for when you're doing anything. Today I want to talk about when you're watching The Bullet Train. First things first, this is a star-studded cast. This is amazing. This is really a good name list of like characters. I really enjoyed the characters in this film a lot. Brad Pitt, Bad Bunny, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Joey King, Sandra Bullock, Logan Lerman, Michael Shannon, Brian Tyree Henry. Jeez, why is that so difficult? Hiroyuki Sanada, Andrew Koji, Zazie Beetz, and they had some special guest appearances from some cameos from some other actors that I will get into later on. But I say that the characters were really fun. The characters were really well thought out. I felt like it all kind of mixed well with each other. It didn't feel like it was just weird. I mean, it kind of did. It kind of didn't, you know. The Bullet Train is one of those popcorn movies that you just kind of have to just sit there and enjoy, you know, have fun with it. You can't really be all about specific details. You know, there are certain things that happen in the movie that I don't agree with, but I feel like, you know, it's the movie and it kind of left me satisfied and unsatisfied. But overall, my favorite characters in this movie in particular were Tangerine and Lemon, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry. Oh my goodness. The chemistry between those two was amazing. It was really funny to see those two interact. And the moment they hit the screen, at first I kind of found them annoying because of their accents and they talk so fast and it's really hard to understand. But once you get used to them and you really like follow the rest of the story, you're rooting for them. You're really happy to see them working with each other and having dialogue with one another, because there is a care and compassion, and there are certain things about the relationship that makes it just seems authentic. It seems fun, you know, and it really feels like a genuine relationship, a brotherhood between the two of them. And then, of course, you have Brad Pitt playing Ladybug, who is the star. You know, he's the star of the film. He's the main character. It starts off with him, and we kind of find his whole journey throughout this whole train trying to get this suitcase full of money. And spoilers, by the way. Man, I should really put that at the beginning. I don't think I said anything yet. But yeah, spoilers for The Bullet Train. Definitely go watch it. The Bullet Train is also a book by the Kōtarō Isaka. If you definitely want to go give that a read, I recommend it. I like the movie. I didn't get a chance to read the book. I didn't know there was a book, to be honest. So go read the book if you're into reading novels and books. And the movie was great. So I imagine the book is a lot more detailed and maybe more fun and not so, I don't know what the correct, like cartoonish, I guess you could say. But yeah. So my favorite characters were Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry, and I felt like they worked so well together with everybody else. I also really liked Joey King's character, who plays the Prince, or just Prince. I thought she did I think her accent was really, really subtle. It didn't feel like she was trying too hard to be like British or whatever. It just felt like she was just being whatever. And yeah, I thought that everybody did a fantastic job in this movie. Logan Lerman is in the film. I also really liked, just for that brief moment, you know, he dies pretty early on, which surprised me. I was like, oh, what a talented actor, and they go ahead and waste him. And they also had Bad Bunny in there playing the wolf. He also got killed off really early. I was surprised. And I thought it was kind of funny. The way he died was by his own knife. It wasn't, you know, because of Brad Pitt. It was because he was just doing it to try to kill him to avenge his wife and his family. Who else was in this movie? They also had, the big stunt at the end was when they revealed who the White Death is played by. And I was like, expecting some big, huge Russian guy, and instead they got Michael Shannon. And I was really surprised by that. Not that Michael Shannon is a bad actor or anything, but just it was just like they said it was this 6'6" Russian dude who's deadly and could kill anybody. And then I saw Michael Shannon, and all I thought of was like, there's this movie called Premium Rush with him and Joseph Gordon-Levitt that I really like. And in that movie, he's a little bit more psycho, and in this movie, he's a lot more, I guess, the strong, silent type, and he can carry himself a lot better. So it was really interesting, and I was like, this is such a weird choice, but, you know, in the grand scale of the movie, he's not in it that long, and he's does a pretty good job, so I liked it. I did like it a lot. They also had Hiroyuki Sanada, who, I mean, he's basically just the typical, whenever you need like a Japanese or like a samurai or kind of like a Yakuza, whatever, kind of like of a member, they always hire that guy. And I'm like, he's a great actor. He's very great. I remember him in the Last Samurai. They had him in Avengers Endgame. They have him in a bunch of stuff, but I was just kind of like, I wish they had flushed him out a little bit more. You know, they make him just seem like just the old guy who shows up at the end and kind of just surprises and kills and does everything on his own. And it was just kind of like, I think we missed some key moments in the whole film that would have been really good. They had Zazie Beetz in the movie, who plays the Hornet. I thought it was so funny that they had her play the anime character in the costume, and that she ended up stabbing herself with her venom, or getting stabbed, and then she only had one thing of the antidote, you know, and she's like crawling away, and Brad Pitt is like, do you need anything? Can I get you some help? Yeah, and that was probably one of my favorite scenes. It was really funny. It was really comical. I thought it was like one of the better pieces, because she's struggling to survive. It's gory and it's bloody, and she's like fighting for her life, you know, and Brad Pitt took her antidote and used it on himself, but she was a goner. And there was a whole lot of great moments in the movie. I can't related to a specific scene of being like, that was my favorite per se. There were a lot of great moments, or great scenes and interactions that I really liked. For instance, one of my favorite moments and scenes was between Lemon and Tangerine by Aaron and Brian. They did such a great job connecting throughout the whole movie of like, we're professionals and we're doing this job, and you and I are brothers and we do this forever, and it's just you and me versus the world. And they also have like this hate for each other and this rivalry between each other, but they also have this care and love and compassion for one another that I really, really enjoyed. So my favorite moment was I think it was in the middle of the film. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, Tangerine, finds his brother, played by Brian, Lemon. The character's name is Lemon. And he sees him there, and he's dead. Supposedly. He's in the bathroom, and he's dead. And he's looking at him, and he's just like, he has a big moment to himself where he's just like, not necessarily like overwhelmed with tears and with like sadness per se, but he is sad, and it's very subtle and it's very sweet. And he takes off his necklace and he puts it on his brother, and he's just kind of like sulking and he's upset, and he's just like, this job sucks, you know, and this is not what I wanted for my family. So eventually he wipes his tears away. He gets up and he goes and he has to do his job. And he gets a phone call from the White Death, because he's still doing the job, and he's already proven that he can't be trusted, sort of, with the responsibility of getting the suitcase and the money and protecting the White Death's son, played by Logan Lerman, who has already died at this point, and the suitcase is missing, full of the money. So he's just kind of like, okay, this whole thing sucks, and there's nothing that we can really do, and my brother just died. And the White Death calls him, and he's like, listen, if you don't do what I tell you to do, and you're not there with the suitcase and with all of the money that you are supposed to be carrying for me, I'm going to kill you and your brother. And Tangerine does this great moment. It's this amazing moment where he's just like standing there, and he's like, you know what? I don't care about you. I don't care about your son. The money is gone. I don't know where it is. And you can't kill my brother because he's already dead. So bring it on. And he's just like, in that moment, I was rooting for him. I was just like, in that moment, I wanted him to cut off the White Death's arm. Like him and his brother each cut one of the White Death's arm off. And what was so crazy about it was that it was that moment where you're just like, yes, this guy, I want him to win. I want him to fight. And there's this great follow-up scene where Tangerine sees Prince, played by Joey King, and he sees that his brother, Lemon, is really big about Thomas the Tank Engine, the train show, and he just kind of like talks about how he's a people person and he learned everything he can about people from watching Thomas the Tank Engine. It was so funny, so creative, so wacky and weird, but at the same time, like, you kind of get it. You just, like, we all kind of do that sometimes, where we, like, attribute people to certain characters or maybe TV shows or movies that we watch. And his was Thomas the Tank Engine. I don't know why. It was just really funny and weird. But he ends up carrying these stickers around with him, and he, like, places it on people to identify them as who they are. So I thought it was really funny early on that they established that, and that they did it with Logan Lerman, and they put Percy, the train on him, and it's kind of like a nod to his character of Percy Jackson. I thought that was really cool. That was really funny. And so when Lemon dies, Joey King's character kills him. Prince kills Lemon, supposedly. And before he dies, he puts one of the stickers on Joey King's back. Now, the sticker he puts on Joey King's back is called Diesel. And Diesel just essentially is this whole, it's basically the big train, the most powerful, the big bad, right? And so once Tangerine finds the sticker on her back, he's just like, my brother learned everything I knew about this. He points the gun on her, and it's essentially a whole, like, he knows she's the one involved in everything. She's the one who's kind of, like, behind the scenes doing all of these extra pieces, which is, she's tricking everybody on the train into thinking she's just this innocent bystander, but really she's this murderous loser who just wants to kill her father, who is the White Death. And so she rigs bombs onto guns, she rigs bombs into the suitcase full of money, and she kills anybody who gets in her way or, like, poses a threat to her or could potentially get in her way of killing her father. So when Tangerine finds out, dumb Brad Pitt comes in and he ruins the whole thing. Not only does he ruin the whole thing, he kills Tangerine. And you're just like, oh, why? Why? When everything was finally about to happen, when Joey King was finally gonna die, and then what do? What does Brad Pitt do? He kills the most interesting, the coolest character in the movie. I mean, this man literally got pushed off of the train, ran with the train, jumped on the back of it, and then broke into it with his bare hands. His head even. I mean, it was nuts. It was insane. And it was a complete shame that they killed him off, and it broke my heart. And I was just like, oh, what a waste. And then Lemon wakes up. He's not even dead. He drank like the sleeping powder and water that Brad Pitt poured in there for, I don't know why. I don't know why he did it, but he just did it. And he drank the water and he passed out, and he got shot in the chest, not in the head. And he got shot in the chest, and he was wearing this Kevlar bulletproof vest underneath his clothes because his brother Tangerine had told him to, and he was like, nah, I don't really like doing that, and so it ended up being really sweet how he did listen to his brother, even though he said that, like, he didn't really need it or didn't really bother with it, but he did do it. And it was so sad to see him wake up, look at the chain on his necklace, and he goes, where's my brother? And then he finds Tangerine dead. And then he hates Brad Pitt, and I was just like, yes, kill Brad Pitt. But they end up working together again. And then at the end of the movie, another great moment was when he gets into this Tangerine truck and he hits Joey King and he kills her. And it was just like, yes, justice. It all comes full circle. It all comes in the end, Everybody gets their comeuppance. And there was also a couple of cameos in the movie that I really enjoyed. They got Channing Tatum in there, which I thought was really, really funny. Just because he has such a small part in it, but it's so funny. It's so perfect for him. And it didn't feel like too much or too little. It felt like, yo, this was just the right amount of like people that should be, of him that should be in the movie. It didn't feel like it was trying too hard to be anything else. And then Sandra Bullock shows up at the end as well. She was the one talking to Brad Pitt throughout the whole time he was on the bullet train. He's kind of like her ears, just somebody to have conversation with and talk about the mission, I suppose. And then there was also Ryan Reynolds shows up in the movie. He plays Carver. I think it's Carver. And supposedly, Brad Pitt took that job because Carver was sick and he was supposed to show up that day. And the reason why Carver was supposed to be there that day was because the White Death planned all of this. All of the stories were there for a reason. Tangerine and Lemon had pulled a Bolivia job that killed all of the White Death's crew members. Joey King was there because it was his daughter and she wanted to kill him, but he wanted to kill his son, which was Logan Lerman. So he hired the Hornet to kill his son. My bad. And then he was going to kill Tangerine and Lemon, and then he was going to kill Carver. He was going to kill Carver because Carver killed his wife, and that's why he hasn't been so active in the underworld. So active down doing evil bad guy stuff, I guess. And he kind of has his henchmen do it for him. And yeah, those were some fun cameos. It all kind of feels intertwined because Sandra Bullock did a movie with Channing Tatum and called The Lost City, I think. And Brad Pitt played like a small cameo in that one. So it was like, I'll do a movie with you guys do a movie with me. Ryan Reynolds was did Deadpool 2, and Brad Pitt made a cameo in that. And then Channing Tatum did a cameo in Ryan Reynolds' movie called Free Guy. And so it was all like this kind of like, all of these friendships that interconnect and like kind of like, oh, can you make an appearance here? And then you can make an appearance here. Well, if I do, it feels like the friendship kind of works out for all of them. It benefits everybody because they all get an opportunity to work with each other and do movies together. It's fun and it's really nice. And it's not like big characters. It's like small and cool and perfect for like them as actors. I thought that was really cool. And the fight choreography, I gotta tell you, there were some intense moments and there were some really funny times. Like when Brad Pitt fights Bad Bunny at the beginning of the movie, I mean, you're impressed by how well they were like trading blows and fighting each other. And then the final blow where he throws the Bad Bunny throws his big knife at Brad Pitt. He deflects it and it bounces back and it stabs him in the heart. And you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, what are the chances, huh? What are the odds that he dies by his own knife? It's really, that sucks. That is really, the chances are astronomical. But that's why it's funny. And it's one of the jokes that Brad Pitt's character has bad luck, and so he gets called the ladybug because it's supposed to be good luck or whatnot. So it's really funny. It's ironic. And there's another moment with Aaron Taylor Johnson where they're both fighting, and Brad Pitt buys a Aaron's Tangerine buys Brad Pitt sparkling water as they're fighting. The stewardess comes in and she's like, does anybody need anything? And Brad Pitt is like, let me get sparkling water. And then he's like, well, actually, I gave all of my money and stuff to the guy impersonating me, Channing Tatum's character. So if you could pay her for my water, thanks, man. And then he goes, all right, fine. He pays the lady, he drinks some water, and then they're like, let's get back to it. And he throws the water bottle at his face. It was so cool seeing all of the fights that happened in the movie. I thought it was really cool and fun. And there's not a lot of moments like that where the choreography feels all that planned or stylistic and it flows very well. Sometimes you can kind of be like, oh, that was trained, that was whatever. But this one felt it flowed very well. It didn't feel too much like it was insane. Like it was just like, oh, they rehearsed that multiple times. It just felt like, oh, this flowed, and sometimes stuff happens, and it was just for fun. And things get in the way, and there's a bunch of moving parts in the whole thing. And then in the final fight, where the train is moving really, really fast, and then they kind of crash into the whole city, and then the White Death is explaining his whole plan, and his daughter, the prince, Joey King, was put a bomb into a gun, and Michael Shannon's character had nothing left. He didn't have his sword to fight with. He didn't have another gun to shoot Brad Pitt with. So then he was just like, you know what? Let me just use this gun. And he kills himself. He dies. And Joey King's happy with herself, and then Lemon kills her with the tangerine truck. And one of the most important parts about this whole thing was that it's all connected. Everything was meant to happen in that place in that time. The only oddball in this whole thing was really Brad Pitt. If Brad Pitt wasn't there, I don't think anything would really go terribly, wouldn't have gone as bad. If it was Ryan Reynolds' character, Carver, on the thing, then Bad Bunny wouldn't have attacked him, and he wouldn't have stayed on the train for as long as he needed to be. He would have just gotten the suitcase, gotten up, and left. And that would have been the end of the story. But no. They had to do this whole thing. Or maybe not, because Carver was supposed to be on the train when the White Death comes on. So it would he would have to find another way to keep him on the train. Somebody else to keep him there, or somebody to watch and make sure he doesn't get off. Just to make sure that he stays on the train. So maybe not. We'll see. We have to see. But Brad Pitt was the only oddball in the whole thing. And he was the character that was the goofiest and the one that pissed me off the most, because I was just like, yo, why you gotta do my boy Tangerine like that? He was literally gonna decapitate, the White Death. He was gonna cut off his arm. That's what I wanted for him. That's what I wanted for Lemon too. And the interconnected story is so fun. I really like those kinds of movies. It reminds me of that movie Vantage Point with it has Zoe Saldana, Forrest Whitaker, I believe Sigourney Weaver. I can't be too sure, but the story follows. It's a different movie. That's another time. But essentially, all of the parts are connected to each other. They're all a part of a story that is connected in different parts, and then it all comes together in the end. And you're like, woohoo! It's cool. It's fun. And that's how I felt about this movie, where it was just story after story, a different part of the train, and then it all comes together at the end, why everybody's there at the same time, how come everything worked the way that it did, and you're just left feeling a little bit satisfied by the ending, because at the end of it all, the White Death dies, Joey King dies, the Wolf, played by Bad Bunny, dies. The Hornet, played by Zazie Beetz, dies. Logan Lerman's dead. There's no money. And Brad Pitt walks away, alive. Lemon gets justice for his brother, sort of. And the guy at the beginning who was crying over his son kind of gets justice. His son doesn't die. The elder gets revenge for his family on the White Death. So everything ends pretty well, except for all the destruction and chaos that the bullet train caused. But other than that, happy endings all around. And those were one of my feelings on the movie, and it just felt very, not cartoonish. I don't know what the right word is. It just felt, it was just one of those popcorn movies where you just have to enjoy it for what it is. You can't just expect so many things to fall perfectly. You just have to be like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be, As much as I would want Tangerine to live if, maybe in the book he's supposed to die, or if he had stayed alive, it would have killed Joey King's character too early, or things wouldn't have worked out the same way. I don't know. All I know is that Tangerine didn't have to go out the way he did, and Brad Pitt annoyed me at that scene. But other than that, it was fun all around. Good action, great action. They had some great moments. All the characters and actors do a great job. Never for a moment was I like, oh, they're trying too hard or it's not good. All around, I felt everybody did an amazing job. And everything fit perfectly as to why they were there, their motivations, and some of the unexpected stuff that happened just made it fun. And that's what I'll say about that. Definitely go watch it, The Bullet Train. It's still in theaters right now, if I'm correct. And if not, definitely go watch it. Maybe it'll be on a streaming platform. I wouldn't know what streaming platform, to be honest. But who knows? Other than that, it was a great movie. Lots of fun. Just enjoy it for what it is. Don't try to over make it into anything else. But thank you guys so much for watching. This has been another episode of the When You're Podcast. Thank you so much.